She spent years taking you for granted, but the exact moment you stopped caring is when everything she thought she controlled started crumbling. And now, she's doing things you never imagined possible just to pull you back in. You've been patient. You've been understanding. You've given chance after chance. But something shifted inside you, didn't it? That moment when you finally had enough. She felt it. And here's what most men don't realize. Women over 35 don't panic like younger women do. They have strategies. They know exactly how to pull you back in, make you doubt yourself, and reset the game. If you don't recognize these 7 tactics right now, you'll find yourself trapped in the same cycle for another decade. Let me show you what's really happening. Before we dive into the story, make sure to subscribe. And feeling this, you are not alone. Drop your age and how long you've been living this way in the comments below. The first thing she does is weaponize the affection you've been starving for. For months, possibly years, she's been emotionally unavailable. Physical intimacy became something you had to negotiate for, or it vanished completely. She stopped touching you casually. The compliments disappeared. She criticized things she used to love about you. Quality time turned into her scrolling through her phone while you sat in the same room. Every attempt you made to connect was met with excuses, rejection, or complete indifference. You learned to stop asking. You learned to stop hoping. You accepted that this was just who she was now. But the exact moment she realizes you've genuinely checked out, something miraculous happens. She transforms overnight into the woman you fell in love with years ago. Suddenly, she's initiating physical contact. Her hand finds yours when you're sitting together. She hugs you from behind while you're making coffee. She compliments your appearance, your work, things she's actively criticized for months. She initiates sex, not just agrees to it. She suggests date nights. She asks about your day and actually listens to your answers. She laughs at your jokes again. If you didn't understand female psychology, you'd think she finally realized what she was losing. You'd believe she's genuinely changing. You'd feel hope that maybe the relationship you wanted is finally possible. But here's the devastating truth she's counting on you not understanding. This isn't genuine change. This is panic-driven manipulation designed specifically to reset your emotional state. She's creating cognitive dissonance. You were certain you needed to leave. You had clarity about how bad things had become. But now, she's behaving exactly how you've begged her to behave for years. So you start questioning everything. Maybe you were too harsh. Maybe she really is trying. Maybe you should give her another chance. That doubt, that hesitation, that's exactly what she needs. Because if she can keep you uncertain long enough, she can re-establish control. And once you've committed to staying, once the threat of you leaving has passed, watch how quickly the affection disappears again. You'll be right back where you started, except now you've taught her that this tactic works. The second tactic is devastatingly effective because it targets your deepest masculine instincts. Women over 35 understand male psychology better than younger women. They know that men are biologically wired to protect and provide. They know that watching a woman suffer triggers something primal in you that overrides rational decision-making. So the moment she realizes you're genuinely done, she suddenly becomes fragile and helpless in ways you've never witnessed during your entire relationship. She starts crying more frequently, often without obvious triggers. She admits she's been struggling with anxiety or depression that she conveniently never mentioned before. She confesses deep fears about her future, her career, her life direction. She reveals insecurities she's supposedly hidden for years. She tells you she doesn't know what she'd do without you. She breaks down describing how overwhelmed she feels. She appears genuinely vulnerable, genuinely struggling, genuinely in need of your strength and support. And here's where the manipulation becomes truly insidious. Your protective instincts activate immediately. You start feeling guilty for even considering leaving during what appears to be her darkest moment. You tell yourself that abandoning her now would make you a terrible person. You rationalize that she needs you, and walking away when she's this vulnerable would be cruel and heartless. But here's the question you need to ask yourself. Where was this vulnerability 6 months ago when everything was fine and you weren't leaving? Where was this emotional honesty when you were begging for deeper connection? Why did her mental health crisis coincidentally appear the exact week you said you were done? The timing reveals everything. This isn't genuine vulnerability. This is strategic emotional manipulation designed specifically to exploit your masculine protective instincts. She's not crying because she's genuinely broken. She's crying because tears are her most effective tool to make you stay. She's not revealing insecurities because she trusts you. She's weaponizing perceived weakness because she knows it makes leaving psychologically harder for you. Real emotional struggles don't appear and disappear based on relationship status. Manufactured vulnerability appears precisely when it's most strategically useful. And the moment you commit to staying, watch how quickly she recovers. The third manipulation tactic attacks your perception of reality itself. She launches a full-scale history revision campaign designed to make you question everything you know happened. Suddenly, your entire relationship history gets rewritten in real time. The good times become incredible, practically perfect. The problems shrink to minor inconveniences. Your legitimate concerns transform into overreactions and misunderstandings. She starts pulling out old photos you haven't seen in years. Remember how happy we were here? Look at how you're looking at me in this picture. She reminds you of specific moments from early in the relationship. You used to tell me I was the best thing that ever happened to you. We were so good together back then. She tells stories to mutual friends, carefully editing out all the dysfunction and highlighting only positive memories. She's creating an alternate version of your relationship that never actually existed. And here's why this works so effectively. Human memory is unreliable. We genuinely start doubting our own experiences when someone confidently presents a different version. You remember the fights, the disrespect, the emotional neglect that drove you to this point. But she's painting a picture of a relationship that was mostly wonderful with just a few small bumps, and the cognitive dissonance starts eating at you. Maybe it wasn't as bad as I remember. Maybe I am being too harsh. Maybe I'm focusing too much on the negative and forgetting all the good times. That doubt is exactly what she needs to keep you from leaving. But here's what you need to understand. If the relationship was actually as good as she's now claiming, you wouldn't be leaving. You don't walk away from genuinely healthy relationships over minor issues. You're leaving because the problems were serious, consistent, and she refused to address them until you threatened to go. Her revisionist history isn't proof that things were better than you remember. It's proof that she'll say anything to avoid losing control. She's not reminding you of the truth. She's constructing a fiction designed to override your lived experience. And if you let this revisionism work, you'll commit to staying based on a relationship that only exists in her strategically edited version of events. The fourth tactic is perhaps the most psychologically cruel because it weaponizes your deepest hopes against you. For years, you've been trying to move the relationship forward. You brought up marriage, and she changed the subject or gave vague non-answers. You discussed starting a family, and she said, maybe next year, when things are more stable, when her career settles down. You wanted commitment, and she attached endless conditions to every step forward. Not right now. I'm not ready. We need to work on some things first. Let's see how things go. Every attempt you made to build a future together was met with hesitation, deflection, or outright refusal. You eventually stopped bringing it up because the rejection hurt too much. You accepted that she simply wasn't as invested in a future with you as you were with her. But the exact moment you tell her you're done, something miraculous happens. Suddenly, she's ready for absolutely everything. She'll set an actual wedding date right now. She wants to start trying for children immediately. She'll move in together, combine finances, meet each other's families, whatever you want. The future you begged for during years of the relationship is suddenly available the second you decide to leave. And if you don't understand manipulation, this feels like a dream come true. She finally gets it. She finally realizes what she's losing. She's finally ready to commit. But here's the devastating reality. These aren't genuine commitments. They're emergency promises designed exclusively to buy time. She's not suddenly ready for marriage because she had some revelation about your value. She's promising marriage because it's the only thing that will make you stay. And here's what happens next. You agree to give her another chance based on these promises. The immediate crisis passes. She knows you're not leaving anymore. And watch how quickly those promises evaporate. The wedding date gets pushed back because of work stress. The baby conversation becomes not right now again. Every commitment she made during her panic disappears once she's re-established control. You're left exactly where you started, except now you've wasted more years waiting for promises that were never real. The fifth manipulation tactic exploits your competitive male psychology. She suddenly starts mentioning other men with calculated casualness. Oh, my ex-boyfriend messaged me on Facebook yesterday asking how I've been. A guy at work has been really flirty lately. My girlfriends keep telling me I should try dating apps. They say I do really well. A former co-worker reached out wanting to grab coffee. These comments appear random and innocent on the surface. But nothing about this is accidental. She's strategically deploying competition anxiety to override your rational decision to leave. For months or years, she never mentioned other men showing interest. She never brought up exes contacting her. Male attention from co-workers was never worth discussing. But the exact week you decide you're done, suddenly multiple men are conveniently appearing in her orbit. This isn't coincidence. This is psychological warfare. She understands that men are competitive by nature. She knows that the thought of another man having what you're walking away from triggers something primal. She's betting that your fear of losing her to someone else will become stronger than your legitimate reasons for leaving. And here's how it's supposed to work in her mind. You hear about these other options and suddenly panic. Wait, maybe I'm making a mistake. What if she moves on immediately? What if one of these guys is better than me? What if I regret this? That jealousy and competition anxiety is designed to pull you back before you're completely gone. But here's what you need to recognize. If she genuinely wanted to be with other men, she would simply be with other men. She wouldn't be telling you about them. She'd be gone. The fact that she's mentioning these supposed options while simultaneously trying to keep you reveals the truth. This isn't about her having genuine alternatives. This is about manufacturing scarcity to increase your perception of her value. She's trying to make you compete for someone who wasn't worth keeping. And if these other men were actually better options, she'd already be with them instead of desperately trying to manipulate you into staying. The sixth tactic is particularly insidious because it turns your entire social network into weapons against you. Women over 35 understand that social pressure is one of the most powerful forces in human decision-making. They know that isolation makes leaving easier, and community involvement makes it exponentially harder. So the moment she realizes you're serious about leaving, she strategically mobilizes everyone in your orbit to pressure you into staying. Suddenly, mutual friends are reaching out with concerned messages. "Hey man, I heard things are rough between you two. Are you sure you're making the right decision?" Her close friends start telling you how devastated she is, how much she loves you, how hard she's trying to fix things. Your own friends, who've listened to you complain about the relationship for months, suddenly become relationship counselors, telling you that all relationships have problems and you shouldn't throw away something good over temporary issues. Her family contacts you, expressing disappointment and confusion. "We always thought you two were perfect together." She says she's willing to work on things. Maybe you should give her another chance. And in some cases, she'll even weaponize your own family. Your mother mentions how much she likes her. Your siblings suggest you're being too harsh. Your father tells you that relationships require work and you shouldn't quit so easily. None of these people know the full truth of what you've experienced. She's carefully controlled the narrative, presenting herself as the victim of your sudden decision while conveniently omitting years of her behavior that drove you to this point. And now you're facing enormous social pressure from every direction. Everyone is telling you you're wrong. Everyone is defending her. Everyone is making you feel like leaving makes you the bad guy. This coordinated social pressure campaign serves one specific purpose: making leaving so socially costly that staying becomes the path of least resistance. She's betting that you'll cave under the weight of collective judgment and guilt. But here's what you need to remember. These people aren't living your life. They don't experience what you experience daily. And their opinions are based on incomplete, deliberately manipulated information. The seventh and final tactic is the most convincing because it directly addresses everything you've been begging for throughout the entire relationship. When affection bombing fails, when vulnerability displays don't work, when history revision falls flat, when future promises aren't enough, when jealousy tactics backfire, when social pressure doesn't break you, she deploys the nuclear option: complete personal transformation. She makes the ultimate promise that she'll fundamentally change who she is. "I'll start therapy next week. I already researched therapists. I ordered 3 relationship books that I'm going to read. I'm going to work on my communication issues. I'll change my attitude about the things you've been complaining about for years. I'll become the partner you've always needed and deserved." She doesn't just make vague promises. She presents detailed, specific plans about how different everything will be. She shows you the therapist's website. She shows you the books she purchased. She outlines exactly what she's going to change and how. And this is devastating because it's literally everything you wanted to hear for years. You begged her to go to therapy, and she refused. You suggested relationship books, and she dismissed them. You pleaded for her to work on specific behaviors, and she got defensive or ignored you completely. But now, facing the reality of you actually leaving, suddenly she's ready for total transformation. And here's the trap. This sounds genuine. This feels different from her other tactics. She's not just saying she'll change, she's showing you concrete steps. So you think maybe this time is real. Maybe losing you finally made her see what needs to happen. Maybe she's actually capable of the growth you always knew was possible. But here's what she's counting on: you giving her another chance, the immediate crisis of you leaving passing, and her gradually reverting to exactly who she's always been once she knows you're not going anywhere. Because here's the truth about real transformation. People don't fundamentally change in a week because their partner threatened to leave. Real change happens over years through consistent effort, not through panic-driven promises made to avoid consequences. These 7 behaviors reveal one fundamental truth that you need to accept. She didn't value you until she realized she was losing you. And that tells you everything you need to know about what your future together would actually look like. Real change happens because someone recognizes their behavior is fundamentally wrong and chooses growth regardless of consequences. They change because they understand they need to be better, not because they're about to lose something valuable. Panic-driven change happens because someone wants to avoid losing their comfortable situation. And women over 35 understand exactly what's at stake when a good man walks away. Her options decrease significantly. Men her age are dating younger women. Her dating pool has shrunk dramatically. Her timeline for having children, if she wants them, becomes absolutely critical. Her social status takes a substantial hit when friends and family learn you left. Her financial situation potentially changes drastically if she's been depending on your income or splitting costs. So these 7 tactics, the affection bombing, the strategic vulnerability, the history revision, the future promises, the competition jealousy, the social pressure, the transformation promises, none of these are actually about loving you more. They're about protecting herself from the devastating consequences of losing you. If you're experiencing these behaviors right now, understand what's really happening. You're not witnessing genuine transformation or authentic regret. You're watching strategic damage control from someone who took you completely for granted until the consequences became unavoidable and real. Your decision isn't about whether she's theoretically capable of change. It's about whether you're willing to accept someone who only values you when you're leaving. The men who fall for these tactics end up right back where they started within 6 months, except they've lost more time and taught her that manipulation works. The men who recognize what's happening and hold their boundary discover something powerful. Their lives improve dramatically without her. 7 behaviors. 1 fundamental choice. Stay with someone who only appreciates you when they're losing you, or build a future with someone who values you consistently. Now, you understand the game. The question is whether you'll let yourself be played.